Happy Pokemon Day! I'm Ryan with Switchcraft and Switchery, and today is February 27th, 2026, the 30th anniversary of when Red and Green was released in Japan. So we had a Pokemon Presents today to kind of commemorate this 30th anniversary, and there was a lot of cool stuff that got announced, so let's jump in and talk about some of it. So the first thing we got kind of right off the bat was this kind of neat novelty item. I don't know if I'm going to pick this up, but it's pretty cool looking. It's, like a miniature Game Boy that, you can put cartridges in and play original soundtracks from the Red and Blue games, like actual 8-bit music. So it pretty neat. Like it kind of reminds me of like the Nintendo alarm clock. Like I know some people that have that and they really love it. I'm probably not going to get it, but it's still kind of a neat novelty item to get on this like 30th anniversary. The next thing that really caught my attention was this whole Pokemon fan experience thing. Now, I'll admit I'm not, the most hardcore Pokemon fan in the world. I can't name every Pokemon ever, but I've played just about every game that's available and I really love Pokemon. This fan experience looks like a lot of fun, especially if you have kids. Now, I'm not out on the west coast of the United States, or I'd maybe be planning a trip to go to this. It just looks like they have everything from music to the, trading card game to actual like battles with Pokemon champions, which we'll get to later. All sorts of activities and like, if you had kids getting to meet like a real life kind of Pikachu mascot, like, man, that just looks like it would be so much fun. I've never been to one of these, but if they ever bring it out to like my area, I would absolutely love to check it out because this thing looks like it'd be a blast. Next up for me was Pokemon Gale of Darkness XD. So I don't really remember a lot about this game since it was on the GameCube and that was a long time ago that I played that, but it's coming to the Nintendo Switch Online stuff and seems like something that would definitely be a fun title for me to jump into, kind of go down memory lane and kind of hold me over until, we get some more Pokemon stuff kind of coming down the line. I always love being able to revisit titles, especially when it's not really any skin off my back because I already have online. So speaking of Pokemon Champions, this was one of the things that got me super excited. I've been hyped for this since Pokemon Champions was originally announced. Now, with my busy lifestyle, a lot of times it's really difficult to sit down and dedicate a lot of times to play video games, especially something like Pokemon. But being able to just hop on your phone or pull out the Switch and get on and do some battles online with people basically anywhere, that's super intriguing to me. So I'm really excited for this, and it looks like in maybe a month we're going to be getting the Switch versions of Pokemon Champions on the console, and then sometime later this year the mobile app looks like it's going to be coming down. That's something that was really awesome for me about Pokemon Go. While it's not the most in-depth Pokemon experience in certain ways, it was still really fun because I always just had it with me, and so that's going to be really awesome to just be able to pull out my phone or pull the Switch out of my backpack and get into a Pokemon battle online. I'm really excited for this. So let's talk about Pokopia, which I realize I've been saying wrong in probably everything I've said about this so far. It's Pokopia, not Pokotopia. There's not that many letters. Anyway, so initially when this game kind of came out, I kind of brushed it off. I was like, cool, a Pokemon Animal Crossing? Great. But it looks to be actually quite a bit more than that, at least from what they've shown in this trailer. Like, you've got some like building elements where you can maybe get kind of Minecrafty with it. I don't know. But being able to interact socially with other people at their towns or islands or whatever they call, and it looks like you might be able to actually do games and have, kind of some fun interactions with people. One of my big complaints with Animal Crossing was it was cool that you could go to other people's islands, but you couldn't really do anything except just walk around their island. It wasn't like you could play a game or you could interact, with each other outside of like emotes. And it seemed kind of like a missed opportunity there. Kind of seems like here you can actually get together on someone's town and like build stuff. Like, looks pretty cool. So, I'm cautiously optimistic about this game, and it comes out pretty soon, so hopefully we'll get to see more on this, and I actually may pick it up. Okay, so here it is, the big one, right? You've probably this whole time been like, shut up, talk about Gen 10, Pokemon Wind and Waves. So the trailer starts out, and it's actually worth talking about. It's extremely cinematic, and man, is it high quality. You've got kind of this intro sketchbook thing where we kind of walk down like memory lane, right, with Pokemon. You've got like Limousine City, that giant bridge. Is that from Silver? I don't remember. You know, you've got the wilds with like the Dynamax light and the school from Scarlet and Violet. Like, you know, all these things kind of down Pokemon memory lane. And then we get a Pikachu that kind of pops up on your little sketchbook, right? And man, high quality, like Hollywood level cinematics, right? And then we step outside or whatever, and we've got, you know, 2 different Pikachus, boy, girl Pikachu, and, you know, we've got one with kind of a hat and like a flower. The other one's like, you know, with his little like island suit or whatever. Definitely like Pacific Island kind of theme, I'm gonna guess, or just island themed, right? So tropical feeling, all that. And then we actually kind of jump into the game. Now, something I do want to note here, like the footage that we're shown is definitely not game footage, which I'll be honest with you, has me a little bit reserved. Granted, there's still a year before this game comes out, but we've had stuff like this in the past and Pokemon has struggled to deliver here, but at least what they're showing in this trailer, it looks pretty good. Like the water looks fantastic. You know, the Pokemon models look like really smooth, really well done. You know, we definitely have this island theme going on where you have buildings with like water coming off of them. Kind of the main building they show has these like water slides or chutes coming off. It all looks pretty impressive right now. Speaking of those buildings, at least to me, I caught a few things. It seemed like there was one building that kind of had like this like turnstile windmill on the top, and then another one that kind of had this big giant donut thing. So I'm kind of wondering if those are maybe like your gyms, and that kind of signifies the different kind of gyms that it might be. Everything they've shown in the trailer pretty much has centered on like rural exploration. You know, you've got this kind of massive area, but these little tiny pockets, there's like docks and like boats grouped out in the water. We really haven't been shown like a major city or anything like that yet, just kind of a big structure. Speaking of buildings, it seems they've kind of gone with this cool, I'm gonna guess they're Pokemon centers, but they're like these balloons that kind of float up in the air. They have like the Pokemon Center symbol on them, but several times in the trailer you're seeing those kind of in the background, you know, and I'm like, hey, that's cool. It's very unique, especially maybe to this particular environment. Speaking of environments, we aren't shown like a ton, I guess, of diversity. We see kind of like a mountain area, and it looks like it has some sort of like inscription on the back. But then we're also shown like this kind of underground magma cavern, again, being kind of an island theme. You can see how like volcanoes might play in, but yeah, the whole area has like magma dripping down, and you've got like, you know, a Cinescorch down there and a Slugma crawling around. Then we get to our 3 starter Pokemon, which look really fun. First off, we see Brout. He's like a grass, you know, bird Pokemon, probably like flying type by the end, right? Looks kind of like a little chicken thing, like looks fun. Then we get our fire, which is Palm Bomb. So kind of looks like a Pomeranian fire dog, pretty neat. And then lastly, I'm gonna botch this name. It's Gekwa. It's like a gecko type of, you know, water Pokemon. Looks really cool. So if you haven't decided yet, let us know what you're going to play as. I typically go with like whatever the fire is, but I know Jeremy, he said he's in on like Gekwa. He thinks that looks like a fun starter. Always cool to see the starters, and these ones look actually pretty good to me. The last thing I wanted to note is they intentionally go underwater at the end of the trailer and show you kind of the Pokemon environment under the sea. Now, I don't know if that's just for fun or whatever, but the idea of you going underwater and seeing Pokemon possibly to go like play in that environment and try and catch guys like underwater, that's pretty intriguing. And now that they've shown it, I certainly hope that it becomes a reality. So there you have it, Gen 10 Wind and Waves. Like, looks like we're gonna have a lot to ponder over the next year, because this doesn't release until 2027. Now, Pokemon, and if you haven't known, they kind of stick on like a bit of a rigorous schedule with releasing their content, releasing these games. But you know, between Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, there was 4 years. This will be actually 5 from the release of Scarlet and Violet to Wind and Waves, and I'm all about it. You've probably heard Jeremy and I talk. We both really like Pokemon a ton, but Scarlet and Violet, I think for a lot of people, left a bad taste in their mouth. And then Pokemon Legends ZA also had a lot left to be desired, especially from a technical aspect. So I'm really crossing my fingers that Pokemon can do everyone a solid and actually make a really, really great polished game. There's no excuse not to do that on the Switch 2. And it looks like this could, maybe bring Pokemon back into the spotlight and make them known for not only building a community that people can have a lot of fun with, but seeing some really cool graphics and titles and being a really kind of staple game. So that kind of wraps up the Pokemon Presents. I think that there was a lot of cool stuff in there. Tell us in the comments what you thought was awesome. I mean, I love Pokemon, and anytime that I can get good new content, I'm really excited for that. Probably going to hop on Pokemon Unite later today and try and, do the legendary bird stuff. So that about wraps it up here with Switchcraft and Switchery. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought about this in the comments section. And until next time, have a good one.